Hi, and welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well, especially as this one is a special video. It is a live stream. It is AEW Double or Nothing predictions for you here. And I'm joined by the one, the only NXSteve is in the house with me to go through the predictions. NXSteve, how you doing, fella?
Very good, Steve. Thank you for having me on once again. It's always, as I say, a pleasure to be on this channel with you.
Hey, it's always great to have you on the channel as well. And literally, if we went for the match card just before we went on air, what would be scale 1 to 10 of excitement for this show?
To be fair, some of the matches that, like I say, Cole versus Joe is going to be the first time ever. I'm intrigued to see how Punk and Hangman's going to play out, and say with Wardlow, MJF. I'm probably going to say a 9. To be fair, I mean some of these other matches I'm not particularly enthusiastic for, but I have no doubt that they will be entertaining. So I could be I hope to be pleasantly surprised by the end of the night.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are some matches here that I think have been really well put together. Some I don't think are as strong, if I'm honest, and we're going to go through that as we go through match by match. But I'd say that Double or Nothing is usually a show that's a big-time deal in AEW's history. They've always delivered a lot of the time. So I am a solid 8 for this show, despite the fact even if there are some matches I'm not as excited for. But, you know, I mean, it's the first time they've done Vegas since the first one. So you know that there's definitely going to be some special things here. Obviously, we've got the big main event with, Hangman Page against CM Punk. We've got the likes of the Owen Hart finals. We've got Anarchy in the arena. So, there's lots to be looking forward to on this. But would you say then that Cole and Joe is the match you're most looking forward to on this show?
Yeah, I would probably say so, just because it's the first time ever, and Joe's sort of WWE career really sort of deteriorated towards the end. So to have him back in a wrestling capacity, I think is really exciting. And to put him up against Adam Cole, who is a lot of people's favourites at the minute, and for it to be a first time ever in such a special occasion, yeah, I'd probably say this is my most looked forward to one, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it should be a really solid match. And obviously for me, I will say the main event because I'm still not 100% convinced of what way it's going to go between Hangman and Punk. But as we go through the predictions, I will commit one way or the other. I can see arguments for both sides. But for everyone that is joining us now, feel free to join the conversation. Join in with your predictions of AEW. Go through match by match with us as well. We look forward to hearing to your predictions for the show as well. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be hopefully a really, really exciting time. And obviously, with every good show comes obviously with a pre-show match, which is going to be very exciting to see as well. Hookhausen against Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Obviously, Mark Sterling is the lawyer usually for Tony Nese is the manager as well. Does the manager work for Jade Cargill as well? Going to be involved in ring action early doors here. Obviously, he's taken a few bumps in his time. Obviously, it was powerbombed by Wardlow through a table not so long ago. So obviously, I've got no worries of how he'll handle himself in the ring. But Danhausen, obviously, finally in AEW, massive deal with everyone that knew of him before. Very nice, very evil as well. Obviously, he had his first match against Tony Nese, and that didn't go very well. We lost in about 20 seconds. But Hook is probably the star of this match. Hook is someone that's come in, is really over with the fans as well. He's been undefeated so far. Anyone that's been put again in the ring with him always falls victim to the red rum. So my question to you is, what is your first thoughts of Hookhausen as a duo?
It's exciting because, I mean, obviously they've had this whole chemistry going on. Everyone thought what would be a rivalry and a feud for Hook that's turned out to actually be a tag team. I think is really exciting, and I think this is going to do massive wonders for Danhausen. I think for a lot of people that probably find him too much of a gimmick character and don't find him taking him seriously as a wrestler. I think putting him in a capacity with Hook, who a lot of people love, and you'll get to see these two tag together, and you'll see actually how much of a good wrestler Danhausen is. I think will be really beneficial to him.
Absolutely. I think this is the place for him to shine now. He shouldn't be losing in 20 seconds. And I've got to say, when I first watched his work in Ring of Honor, I didn't. It took me time to buy into the character. And now, obviously, I watched a few of his interviews online on YouTube and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, he's a really funny guy. And you can just see, obviously, how hard he's worked to get himself in the position he's got to. I'm really pleased he's now got himself, first off was in Ring of Honor, now get himself to AEW. Fans are really taking to him, like a duck takes to water. And obviously, obviously Hook's been the same as well. And like you're saying, the fact that these two, we thought it'd be rivalry at first. I really enjoyed the idea that, Danhausen sort of sees like the curses that have been going around. Hook is not someone that's phased by the curses, and obviously thinks, well, is it the crisps? What is it that's that's the peace offering that's been made there for the two of them? So it's really stupid. It's really sort of, it's fun at the end of the day. That's what I think we have to say from it. It's comedy at its finest. And for me personally, I am looking forward to see where it can go as a duo. Do you think that fans have really bought into it so far? Do you think obviously these two could go all the way to become tag team contenders for the championships one day?
It's AEW, so there's no reason why they can't. Like if they're going to have a massive crowd backing, which is always going to be a plus for, but it's always going to be a plus for them. And that's what's really going to get them over and make people want them to win tag team titles, is that kind of thing. So yeah, this is going to be massive for them. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely. One last thing I just want to mention quickly before we go into a full prediction. Obviously, Tony Nese was like, well, I didn't even get an entrance in that match against Danhausen, where the big deal was made about him. No, not enough emphasis has been made on Tony Nese in AEW. Seems to be that sort of other character, that's not even character, but that wrestler that's just there. He's the premier athlete, not been given the respect he deserves. Do you reckon that he's got a point to prove in this match?
No, this match is all going to be about Hookhausen. I mean, Nese getting the win over Nese beating Danhausen in his first match is what set this up. So I don't think Nese has got a point to prove. Everyone knows Nese is a quality wrestler. If anyone's ever watched his stuff on 205 Live and the stuff that he can do there, he has nothing to prove in ring. I think from his point of view, it's just a character perspective. But then if this turns out to be a rivalry between Nese, Sterling, Hook, and Danhausen, it could be really entertaining. And maybe he can bring more of himself out and we can see what he can actually do from a character perspective.
That would be interesting because, like you said, there's a lot of there's different characteristics between all these guys here that are involved in this match, and that's why it's very interesting. But then, obviously, to go down for a prediction route now here at this point, obviously, I think I know what way we're going to go here. Are we going with the baby faces?
There's no way Danhausen's going to lose his second match on AEW, especially if he's got Hook in his corner. These guys are going to smash it up. Well, I'm really excited to see if they have formed a tag team finisher, and just to see what kind of lunacy that's going to be. So I'm really excited. But yeah, I'm going Hookhausen on this one. I'm
going for the curse into Red Rum. That's what I'm going for. Literally just that. And then the superstar go, what? And then him just being grabbed by Red Rum by Hook, and that'd be the finish. I think it'll be quite entertaining. So yeah, I'm going with you. I think that's the finish all day long. And I think that Danhausen, with that curse feeling when he goes to Red Rum, thinks he's done his part. So that has the comedy element to it as well. But yeah, I think that Hookhausen all the way. It should be a very, very entertaining and a fun way to hopefully start this show. But we're going to the comment section. We've got Too Sweet Carl in the house saying SC Dub, SC Dub, SC Dub. Hope you're doing well. OTM, I believe, are doing their predictions later on this evening as well. So make sure to go and check them out on the Mark Wrestling podcast. It was involved as well in Hell in a Cell video that I've just done just recently, the greatest one of all time. NXSteve, you involved that as well. Noob & Co. also in house saying hello. Hope you're doing very, very well, Noob. And thank you for sharing your prediction for the opening match as well. Recommend everyone that is checking these videos out. Feel free to throw your prediction as we go along. Danhausen and Hook for the win there. So very interesting stuff indeed. That's what we think then with the opening match. But what we're going to think then with the opening match of the pay-per-view. Now, obviously, we don't know the match order. I've gone and just thrown the matches together. Some that I'm very interested in that I've put to the start. And this one is one I was too excited to talk about. I couldn't leave it to the finish. It's Wardlow versus MJF. And it feels like every superstar that goes against MJF needs to go through about 4 or 5 people of MJF's choice to get to MJF. It's almost like a computer game. You go through the certain people to get to their boss at the end. And I like that idea. And Wardlow has been no exception. He's been through this where he's been the person that's been the final hurdle to get to the boss previously. And we've seen that with continuity, perhaps in places of the storyline here, especially with the 10 lashes to the back that Wardlow went through, which I thought he hilariously didn't sell either until he got, a low blow as well. But obviously going through the steel cage match this week as well against Sean Spears with MJF as the referee. He's gone through that as well to get his match on this show. Obviously, this started off as well with the diamond ring as well from the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Get it right second time round. Where obviously that was delivered there more for Punk rather than MJF in the end that feud at Revolution. We've gone through Wardlow going through where, he's piggy, wearing handcuffs all the time to the ring, no entrance music. It's just put Wardlow over as an absolute superstar. I mean, to be honest, I think these segments between these two each and every have almost been the highlight of the show.
Yeah, it's just a shame that I feel probably 99% of people know how this one's going to go. I'm really excited for it, and MJF is just a phenomenal character, and everything he does in ring is just must see. I mean, yesterday, even what he was his attire yesterday, he was wearing a Burberry ref shirt, and I was like, that is the best thing ever. It was absolute genius, and yeah, he's just eyes on. But yeah, it's the predictability of the result that ruins it for me. I mean, I'm sure the stipulation is if the Wardlow loses, he has to leave AEW. Is essentially what it is, or he'll never work for AEW again.
He'll never
I
get a
believe
contract. He'll never get an
a
AEW contract. So yeah,
it makes me want, like, as much as I would love them to throw a swerve ball at this one and just say, yeah, MJF wins. Wardlow is too big of a character to not win this match. But like I said, it will be entertaining as anything. I just hope that it delivers on the promise, because there's a lot of hype behind this.
Here's a question. I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a minute, because I felt the whole way through as well the exact same thing. I thought there's no way Wardlow is not winning this match, but let's for the what ifs. Think about outside the box for a minute what AEW could do if Wardlow lost this match, because Cody before was couldn't go for the AEW World Championship when he was part of the company, and obviously Wardlow threw in the towel back then, and they stuck to that all the way through. Tony Khan purchased Ring of Honor.
I was just about to say that.
What if he becomes the face of Ring of Honor, because they are currently putting Ring of Honor on AEW television? Or are you saying, is Wardlow that big a deal now in AEW that you get to a point where you think yourself, well, hang on, we can't even put him on this other show. This guy's going to be a top star in this company of AEW.
From that perspective, if they were going to do that, this would have to accumulate to the point where you have Wardlow as your Ring of Honor champion, and MJF gets to the point where he's AEW champion, and they can revisit it as champion versus champion.
Love it.
But it seems like that would seem like a fairy tale, or it's just a million miles away from happening. And it's with Ring of Honor not having a concurrent TV show every week or a place to air it. Yes, it's fine them being on AEW TV like Dynamite and Rampage. I can understand that. Even going as far at some point as probably having a match on an AEW pay-per-view. But without a TV schedule at the minute, I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it's going to go down. But I do love the fantasy booking there of the champion versus champion element. I think that'd be really, really exciting. MJF is always usually very well protected as well in AEW. A lot of the time he picks up big victories, but in recent big shows, he has been the fall guy, hasn't he? Has been losing more recently. I think he lost it All Out last year. Did pick up the win at Full Gear against Darby Allin, but then lost at Revolution. Would it be 3 out of 4 for him to start losing? It'd be interesting to know. I mean, obviously, with the contract situation with MJF, obviously he talks about the 2024, especially when he went to Long Island, and sort of, that's always a fun dynamic as well for MJF. And he's explaining the idea of, the people in the back don't want us talking about that, obviously. But, there comes a time with MJF where if he's not going to sign a new deal, he's going to start losing. And I think with Wardlow at this point, in my opinion, Wardlow is almost to the point where they could surpass him at this point, and Wardlow can become one of your top stars in the company. So I think it is at a point that Wardlow should win this match.
Yeah, this is a very key point for AEW when it comes to MJF, because if, for instance, he doesn't go on to sign in 2024, would they really want to put the AEW World Championship on it for then WWE to potentially poach him, and WWE to turn around and say, we've got another one of AEW's big stars, a former AEW World Champion. So and the other thing as well with him losing these big event matches, like I said, he's lost to CM Punk. Having him, if he was to lose to Wardlow as well, it gets to the point where a lot of people would sit there thinking like they're booking MJF as if he can't win the big one, like he can't win pay-per-view matches. It doesn't seem right and seem fair to him as a character. Like MJF deserves a lot. Like it feels like he deserves a lot more, and like how the guy isn't already on the track to being AEW World Champion, and the fact that he's been through 3. I'm trying to think of this more. I know he's had Cody, he's had Punk, he's now got Wardlow. I'm trying to think if he's had any other sort of serious major feuds that have all essentially been the same thing. Like they've all had some sort of, like he obviously had the Cody story where he was his best friend, and then we had the Punk
Jericho
one
as
where
well.
he will. Oh, apologies, Jericho as well. Yeah, so it's getting to the point where it's like, is he ever going to win the big one? Is he ever going to go on to main event it? And I think this could really be quite a deciding weekend for MJF in terms of what they're planning on doing with him, because if he wins, or he win or lose, basically, his next step should really be going for that AEW World Championship, and this we'll find out essentially next week after this match plays out.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think the next step for him definitely would have to be the AEW World title if he was to win this. Wardlow, for me, I think at this point can go to a big singles push, whether it goes to the TNT Championship, which is in desperate need of a change hands, really, I think, at this point, and just a fresh start of that championship. It's been decimated in the calendar year of 2022. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out. I'm going to make the prediction that Wardlow will win this match, because as much as I can see the other side of it, I think Wardlow is the one for me. So I'll give you the final say on this, Steve.
I'm probably going to go the same way and say Wardlow. I mean, the only way I think they can contractually get, well, the way they can get at this story wise, is if MJF was to win, would be for Wardlow to come back, and MJF would be like, "You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't have a contract with AEW," and he should turn around and be like, "No, you're right. I don't have a contract with AEW. I have a contract with ROH, which is completely separate, which allows him to then still appear on TV." But like I said, I think having him lose when he's got such massive face behind, like a lot of face heat behind him, I think would be a really big mistake for them to book.
I agree with you. I think it's a big mistake if he was to lose. He's so over. It's almost like he's got a Goldberg-esque, Batista-esque as well from the way the split as well. It's very similar to that Evolution breakup back in the day. So I agree with you. It could be a big, big time mistake if they were to do that. And let's go into the comments then. Two Sweet Carl saying that it feels like MJF hasn't got a big win in a while now, but Wardlow winning just feels like the obvious choice. And I was kind of feel the same there. And he hopes to see us tonight as well for his show. Obviously, OTM on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Give him another shout there as well. They do terrific stuff over them. Carl, Erica, Tucky, all really good stuff. So make sure to check them out. And look forward to hearing who wins their fantasy draft as well. They did their fantasy draft last year of all wrestlers in all different companies. So give them a shout out. Nubico as well saying that Wardlow is winning. I'm worried about MJF might go to WWE. If Tony Khan puts the AEW title on him, he'll stay. But if not, then MJF will leave Tony Khan and AEW forever. Time will tell on that one. We'll have to wait and see if what will be the future destination of MJF. We'll leave that really, I suppose, to a big talk about it to another day. But I would say, obviously, his contract's till 2024. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I do think that there is a chance either way that he could go and be a world champion at some point during his tenure in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it makes all the sense. He's one of the biggest characters. He is, I would probably say he's the biggest heel in the company as well. And it just makes all the sense. It's a license to print money if you put the title on that guy. Like, people will tune in alone just to see the guy, just to see how stupidly obnoxious he's going to be when he's got that AEW world title and that dynamite ring. And he's going to look silly, but it's going to be fantastic.
Certainly will indeed there. Let's move on to our next match then and talk about the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. Obviously a dream match to many. For those, obviously mentioned Ring of Honor already here, long-time Ring of Honor fans will know we had these matches before. Obviously, I think it was the time when Hardys won the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships from the Young Bucks. They had a rematch in the ladder match, which was the night before the Hardy Boys returned to WWE at WrestleMania 33. I'm really looking forward to seeing these mix up in AEW. I would have liked to have seen a bit more longevity in the story. I feel like it's been a bit thrown together in my personal opinion, this one. You can tell me if I'm wrong here, because I feel like they've sort of been interacting face to face, almost like what you're doing on this stage. You fancy a match rather than actually building up that these are probably, the big tag team of the 90s and noughties against the best tag team of today, almost like mirror parallels of each other, the way that they do their stuff as well. We've not really seen too much of that. And I think that it should be fun anyway. Obviously, the Young Bucks were involved with the beatdown, obviously, with Red Dragon and I think Adam Cole was involved there as well, on the Hardys and Sting and Darby Allin at one point as well, which I thought would lead to an 8-man tag. We've just got the single tag team match here, but I still think this match on the night, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be really, really entertaining. It's just, I mean, the problem with this one, like you said, there's been barely any on TV storyline development. Most of this has been happening on BTE. So if you're not a regular viewer of BTE, you won't even know. There's so much interaction on BTE between these four. Like, there's normally a couple of minutes on each episode that's been going on for weeks. And yeah, that's what I mean. Unless you subscribe to BTE and you watch it, you won't know. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining, which is what I expect. In it's just the outcome with this one, like the result. I feel like this is probably the hardest one to pick at the end of the night, because going forward, it should be one person, but then result will like for their obviously for like I'll give you my answer. I personally think the Hardys are going to win on the basis that I think this is their first proper match since coming back as a tag team in AEW.
Mm.
Obviously, the Bucks winning that last match between them before they returned to WWE. Before I know it's 3, 4, however many years ago it was now, but yeah, it just seems like they'll play off of that, and this will lead to maybe another match, maybe at some point in the future with the titles are involved. But yeah, it's just a case of I think the Hardys need the win because, well, I say don't need the win. They just need the win because they're back together, and it'd be good to see them picking up a win together on AEW. But then the Bucks could win. Like the Bucks don't even need to win. It's a really strange match to call. But for me, I'm going to say the Hardys. It's really strange.
Yeah, do you know what? I agree with you when you said there a minute that the Hardys need to win it and the Bucks don't, because the Bucks have done everything in AEW. They've been tag team champions. They had long lengthy runs, and usually whatever the Bucks do is what matters in the tag team division more than not. Controversial statement, but I believe it to be true.
Yeah.
The Hardys here at this point coming in, like I said, they've not really had too much tag team matches together at this stage. Obviously, the big Private Party when they first got together, but it's the first sort of time on pay-per-view here, and I think that they probably need the win more here. And I actually agree with you. I don't think this is one and done. I think we're going to be leading down a road here. Obviously, we know we've got Forbidden Door in between, but maybe this carries on all the way to All Out, and that's where we get a ladder match or Full Metal Mayhem or whatever ladder wars, whatever they want to go, because they have the Ring of Honor, licensing and everything about, and they used to have ladder wars back in the day, so that could be a way that they could bring it in. So I agree. I think Hardy Boys here are going to pick up the victory, and I think it should be a stellar tag team match. But I think you make some great points that this is not one and done.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole point of this story is to get the Hardys at AEW tag team trials. They've had the ROH, they've had WWE, they've had countless other promotions, tag team championships. It's all about, like Matt Hardy's been saying for weeks, it's all about cementing their legacy and building up to the point where they can go down as one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history.
And I think they're already there. But as Noob goes on to say in the comments here, like the Hardys winning, they might retire after they win the AEW Tag Team Championships at some point. Maybe that's the last thing they want as part of their legacy, because they've done it in so many other places, won Tag Team Championships. AEW is almost like that last big stop, unless they want to go and do a New Japan at some point as well. But they've done it in Ring of Honor, they've done it in Impact Wrestling, they've done it WWE multiple times. So they've been on the biggest stages, but obviously now there's a new number 2 company in town which are trying to push the number 1. It's like the WCW kind of vibe going on. So if they win those belts, maybe at some point that's when they'll say, we've done everything we can do and now we can call it quits.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good possibility, but I think there's obviously that old cliche that if you're going to retire, then you have to put someone young over. So I think if they were going to retire, their last match, I think, would be them losing a tag team title match and passing over to someone young, maybe like the likes of Private Party, just like a young tag team that could really do with the rub and getting the win over a historic tag team and picking up titles at the same time.
Absolutely, indeed, there, yes. So just to clarify them, our final picks are the Hardys for this one.
Yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Hardys.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, let's move on then in the meantime. Let's talk about Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS Championship. For me, this has definitely been thrown together. Obviously, Jade Cargill's now got the baddies with the likes of Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet a part of this. I'm liking that faction, actually. We don't get enough female factions in wrestling, so I like this being put together. I like the idea of the baddies section. It's almost that Jade Cargill is giving more time for women on AEW than AEW is, it feels at points. But all seriousness, though, obviously we now have the ability to have tag team matches, 6-woman matches as well. And this is what led here to Anna Jay making the save, I believe, was on Rampage a couple of weeks ago with a steel chair. And that's what built this match up together. But I think when it comes down to it, Jade Cargill, she's just money, isn't she? There's she's head and shoulders above here. I will be honest, I think that I feel I've been cruel saying this, but I do think there probably would be more suitable challengers at this stage than Anna Jay. I've not seen enough of her on TV in the last few months. The last notable thing that I can remember her doing is that tag team match on New Year's Eve, which was, a fantastic match with Tay Conti against the Bunny and Penelope Ford, if you remember that sort of one I had there. But for me, I mean, Jade Cargill's winning all day long. There's just no way Anna Jay wins this for me. And I don't even think there's even an element of doubt in my mind. It's the most predictable match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because I really like Anna Jay, especially like her whole time in the Dark Order, and I don't know what's happening with them, but it seems whether the Dark Order seems to be disbanding or not now. But you've kind of got to worry because from what I've seen, I don't believe Anna Jay's got the most sort of must see character work for. Like I said, I've not seen a lot of it, so don't take it as gospel. But yeah, I've not seen a lot of her character work, and yeah, I back what you said. I think this has just been thrown together for the sake of having Jade Cargill defend that TBS championship. But Jade Cargill is just so good at the minute. She's another one that's just licensed to print money in the women's division. Um, Everything that she's doing at the minute is just pushing her like credibility up and up and up and making her a dominant female wrestler. It's good to see. But yeah, I'm the same as you on this one. I think Jade Cargill's just going to win this in, like you said before, this is going to be probably a squash match and it'll be over in like 2 minutes.
I mean, that's a shame as well because obviously we have a couple of women's matches in that. I think we're 3 in total, which is good to see. We don't usually get this much in AEW, but I do worry with element of time that this won't be given time. And I hope for both performers that they get the opportunity to tell a match, tell a story, give us a feeling that Anna Jay may win the match as well. I think that would be quite good because going in with that sort of feeling that it's going to be so obvious, I think nothing grips you into a match more thinking, well, hang on, I'm seeing something different play out in front of my very eyes and maybe there is a chance here. But for me, it's Jade Cargill all day long. She's one of the most credible forces in this women's division. Currently, she's been booked one of the best of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see Jade Cargill do the rub for Anna and give her put her over in a sense that make it look like there's a chance that Anna's going to win the title. But I think at the minute, just creative wise, it's all about Jade Cargill. I say unless by some shock reason Anna wins this and then Jade goes on for the women's championship because Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill would be amazing. That's the only reason. Only reason I would see Anna Jay winning this is if they're planning for Jade to go up for that AEW World's Women's Championship.
Absolutely. But we'll go into the comments. We've got one comment that's come flying in. We've got Noob saying that Jade Cargill might win the match, but I get the feeling that WWE may poach Jade as well. Certainly, there's been known of interest in her before through a number of different sources. She did turn them down before. So, interesting to see. And obviously, she's a big deal in AEW right now. I think that she would be right to continue that development as she's doing because, as Steve has said there, no doubt she's definitely a future AEW Women's World Champion. It's how they want to make that transition, I suppose, at one point from the TBS to getting her to that top level and being the top force in the division. But we'll see how it will play along, and we'll move on to match 4, which we're going to talk about the AEW Tag Team Championships. We've got Jurassic Express defending against Team Taz and Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, or if you want Swerve in his glory, I think that's what they're going with. But I'm not sure what I think about that team name, to be brutally honest. But I mean, obviously, Team Taz were the team that seemed to have thrown the challenge out first. They were in the top 5. Lee and Swerve Strickland obviously have been picking up multiple victories, got themselves into the top 5, so that made them throw the challenge out as well. Daddy Christian Cage said on behalf of Jurassic Express that they would take on both teams, and also they'll do the 3-way dance triple threat match they had on Dynamite, apparently, which was meant to be a fantastic match. I've yet to go and see it myself, but apparently it was meant to be a match of the night. But also the other little keynote in this is that Jungle Boy is losing quite a lot recently, certainly in the singles matches. Obviously, they're still tag team champions. It feels that a disappointed father figure, Christian Cage, I think the heel turn is definitely on here. I think Jurassic Express will lose the tag team titles. It'll be interesting to see who it will be to, though, of the other 2 teams. But I'd like to get your thoughts first off on the Jungle Boy losing streak. Christian Cage, if the heel turn is on, it would be a year, obviously, to the event since Jungle Boy eliminated Christian Cage from the Casino Battle Royale. And at first, Christian Cage looked a bit umpy about it, but then obviously just took Jungle Boy under the wing, has played the sort of, mentor over the last 12 months. But has he been carefully calculating for the longest time to wait for the right time to turn on Jungle Boy?
It would be the maddest booking if they had, because it's not very often we get long-term storytelling, and if they're planning on using that as some sort of dynamic, then that could be really entertaining. But yeah, like you said, you can see this losing streak. Whether this is going to lead to a singles rivalry between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, whether it's over who goes home with Luchasaurus at the end of the day. It's almost like a father and son arguing over a pet or something like that. Do you know what I mean? That would probably be, because I think if Jungle Boy's supposed to be one of these 4 pillars of AEW, then he really needs to start, obviously, by going out there on his own and doing his thing as a singles wrestler. But these two did need a tag team run. But yeah, I'm the same. I can't see them retaining here. It's just, but the problem I have with this is obviously that triple threat on Dynamite last night has really thrown me out, because my brain still thinks in a WWE way, like, all right, well, Swerve picked up the win, so they're not going to win on Sunday. So it's probably going to be Team Taz, and I shouldn't really think like that, because AEW doesn't book like that, and I've had that 30-year process drilled into my head of WWE booking, and it's just trying to get out of it. But yeah, I can see Jurassic Express losing. Just for me, I don't know who would benefit more from having a tag team reign. I mean, yes, Swerve and Lee would probably benefit more than what Hobbs and Starks would, but it feels like that Swerve and to me it would feel like Swerve and Keith Lee have just come in and instantly picked up gold, which is it's not normally a common thing for AEW to have someone come in and win a title straight off the bat. Like I said, they've been here less than 6 months probably, and it'd be very strange. But like I said, again, my WWE brain's just playing tricks on me. But if I'm going with their booking wise, I'll give you my answer. I'm probably going to say that Swerve and Keith Lee pick these up, because with this whole Team Taz thing, especially that FTW championship, like, I never know, is that meant to be a legitimate championship in AEW? Because there's occasions where it's put up to defend, and then I don't know if the match never happens, or it's very rare, and it seems really weird that they've got a championship on their brand it's almost like the internet championship that Matt Cardona carries around. Like, it's not a real title to me.
No, I think it's a lot of people that don't take the FTW championship seriously, but when Ricky Starks defends it, he usually retains it, and he's had some killer matches when he has done it. So, and obviously Swerve Strickland was one of them. I believe Jungle Boy was another. So he has defended against the two members in this match as well previously. But I actually do think that Team Taz have a lot to gain here. They've been the team that a lot of people, when they come into AEW, they first face Team Taz. That's usually the people that go, right, there's your go-to. That's who you're going to face off against. And they've always been meeting people at the door. And I think there comes a point where you say, look, these two have been here for a while now. They've done some great work. They are a legitimate team as well with Team Taz. So it's like, let's give them something. Let's give them a title reign. Let's see how it will go. That's for me where I kind of stand on this. And I am going to predict that I think Team Taz will pick up the victory for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, Hobbs by all means deserves something, because he's been such an integral part, like, especially like, obviously when Cage was removed from Team Taz, and like, he's just been that powerhouse. He's been reliable. It's almost like he deserves something as a reward for a good job. So I can see your reason behind it. Absolutely. It's just, yeah, like I said, my WWE thinking has just got me all out of sorts with this one. So yeah, that's why I've gone with Lee and Swerve, because it just, like, if they prove me wrong, then maybe my brain will start thinking in an AEW way instead of a WWE way.
I think that's always the thing, though, because I have that WWE method as well, and that's where you kind of sit there and go, like, wow, okay, I think that is something like this. But like I said, AEW don't do it that way, so it's interesting to see. Just one quick thing, because we've got a couple of comments in, and certainly one of them is very interesting, kind of leads into a part of what I want to talk about as well. But it's sort of a specific team, Too Sweet Carl. But I wanted to talk about the 3 teams involved here, because we've got the likes of, FTR, the Young Bucks, the Hardys. We've got, a lot of these established teams in AEW. And Red Dragon as well probably should be given a shout amongst that. I don't feel in a way that this feels like these are the top teams in AEW at this point that are getting the shot. And I will turn around and say as well, I do think Jurassic Express, I do think their title run has been a lackluster, to say the very least.
Yeah, I mean, but then I will counter argue that and saying that the fact that these 3 teams are in a championship match on a pay-per-view, when you could have the likes of Red Dragon, FTR, I think does a lot better as a whole for wrestling, to say that, look, we don't need to put the likes of these teams in for our championship title matches, where we can put Jurassic Express, we can put Team Taz, we can put Lee and Swerve. They're not the biggest names, but these guys can wrestle, which is undoubtedly what it's about. And we're going to show you what these six wrestlers can do. So it's almost like they're trying to not be predictable in that manner. Like, for instance, if you put an FTR in here, my money would have been on FTR all day long, which is, I think, another reason why they haven't put a team in there like that, so that there isn't it leaves more like a more open sort of, I know, a more open conversation as to who actually may win this match.
Absolutely. And obviously, FTR, Red Dragon, neither team were on this show. You could have thrown them in there to make the four-way, but maybe they get a big deal by pinning or not beating those teams if they're not involved in the decision. And obviously, they just end up there to make the numbers up. But at the same time, there is that argument as well that maybe you want to save it because when they are in the match, you want them to win the match and win the gold. So there is different ways and different arguments. And I think you make a great case and point. But Two Sweet Carl asked a question here, and this is slightly on the same topic, but slightly not the right topic with because of the fact that it's a different team that are in a match later in the night. But he says, "I'm really disappointed like myself that Proud and Powerful Santana Ortiz haven't been champion." I think it's a very great question to ask because if you go that as a separate question linked on to what we've just said, I am shocked because I thought when they came in, they were destined to go and become champions. I thought that we were going to get the likes of, I think at the time we had the Lucha Bros, we had the Young Bucks, and we had Santana Ortiz. I thought that was going to be your Edge and Christian, your Hardys and Dudleys of 2019, 2020. I thought that was where we were going with the ladder matches and stuff like that. And we've never quite had it with Proud and Powerful. And obviously, they've played that into storyline with Chris Jericho as well a little bit. I'm hoping they will get their break off and get an opportunity further down the line. But when they have been thrown in for conversation, they've always fallen up short, even when they've been in Battle Royals. They've not been even near the end of them. So, I mean, it's a disappointment that a team like Proud and Powerful are not in this position, another long-term team that have not had the rub to be tag champs yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think that the fact when they left Impact, they were one of the hottest free agents going, and everyone wanted to sign them. Like there was rumors of them going to NXT, and it was almost like we almost all sat there and thought that it was a godsend that they were going to AEW because AEW have got the Bucks as EVPs, and they know what they're doing with tag team wrestlings. But yes, it is very criminal that these two have never won a tag team championship. But then I suppose, but because they've always been involved in some sort of storyline, they've always been involved with Jericho at some point. Like, let's be honest, since they've come in, all their storylines have revolved around Chris Jericho. So maybe, yes, when whether this whole thing with Jericho blows off this Sunday and we get an end to the whole Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz versus the JAS, maybe. I mean, there's obviously the rumors that they're supposed to be bringing in a trios tag title. So whether maybe them and Eddie go onto it and they can be crowned the first trios tag team champions is a very high possibility. But yeah, like when they had, was it Santana Ortiz that faced Phoenix and Penta in the cage for the tag team titles? Was it those two? Yeah, solid.
Young Bucks. It was.
Oh, was it Young Bucks? Sorry, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I watch so much wrestling, I just get confused all the time. But yeah, I thought it was Santana and Ortiz because I remember the match being amazing. But like I said, I watched so much of it lately. My brain fries. But yeah, like I said, it is criminal that they've never been tag team champions. And you would have thought when they signed and coming in, these in 6 months, these guys would be tag team champions and they'll be tearing it up.
Yeah, I think they should have been tag team champions, but the contrary of what you said, they were doing a lot of Chris Jericho's dirty work. They probably have more main events than what they would have got being aligned with Chris Jericho. Pay-per-view main events, stadium stampedes, and going for eye for an eye. The good one against John Moxley back in the day. We've had that sort of stuff going on, so there has been a good and bad scenario with it, but hopefully, like you said, they'll get an opportunity at some point to throw themselves in the conversation because they're a great tag team. Would love to see it. But also, you mentioned the trios as well, like the LAX thing, I think would be pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they signed for AEW and then just went into complete irrelevancy and sat in catering all day. They've been in major storylines, like you said. They've been on TV, they've been in pay-per-views, they've been in main events, stadium stampedes, all this kind of stuff. So yes, it's criminal they haven't won the tag team, but they've still been on our TVs. They've still wrestled. It's just, it's almost like AEW kind of makes it like the titles aren't really irrelevant in some cases. Like, yes, they have these great tag teams here, but they don't need to be tag champions just because they can wrestle and they can wrestle really well. I mean, yes, I suppose that is a pro, but then you want to see your favorites as the champ. You want to see them at the top of the mountain. You want to see everyone coming for them and then defending these titles. So it's pros and cons to it, really. But yeah, like I said, at some point they should be tag team champions.
Certainly indeed there, certainly indeed. Nubico was going to say as well that Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland for the win is his prediction. However, just tired of the feud between Keith Lee and Swerve against Team Taz is getting old really fast. That's one of the criticisms I would say going into this show, is that a lot of the feuds can't continue after this. We have to have them as finish of the feuds. And this seems to be one that needs to be, because obviously these two teams were feuding before Jurassic Express were brought into the conversation. So that one way or another, this needs to end with these two teams on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Jungle Boy will go off and do something with Christian Cage now, whether that's like a whole story in itself in a one-on-one capacity. I don't know what Brian Cage's status is. I don't know if he's still injured or is he back, or
still he was with Ring of Honor, wasn't he? He's now with Tully Blanchard and another tag team, which name escapes me.
I don't know whether they could probably, I know I haven't seen him in ages, so maybe bring him back in a capacity with Ricky Starks and finally do something with the FTW championship. Or say if they win the tag titles, let them do whatever they're going to do. But then this is why I think Swerve and Strickland need it more, because I think going forward, there's not a lot of options for them, creatively. And I think the tag team titles would benefit them more, I suppose. Whereas with Hobbs and Starks, they've got history in the company and they've got sort of stories that they can revisit at any time with these two. So there's kind of like there's more options for them too than there is Swerve and Lee.
Valid points and valid argument there. We'll have to see how it's going to play out then on the pay-per-view. Looking forward to seeing how it's going to go. I mentioned views that need to come to a finish. This is another one, in my opinion. Death Triangle versus House of Black. Although I will say, I do think it's been Phoenix's injury that's caused this to go for as long as it has. I don't think it was meant to be the way it's been, but certainly one thing's for sure. We had 2/3 of Death Triangle with Eric Redbeard against House of Black on the Revolution buy-in, and that was one of the best matches of the entire show. It was absolutely incredible. So now we've got Phoenix in the conversation as well, who's just insane performer on top of this. This has the potential to steal the show. Why are not the Trios Championships involved in AEW at this point with this match? Because it would have been perfect for it.
Yeah, this I'm still thinking about that Trios match from the Revolution. It was unreal. Like I said, Malachi Black is doing some unreal character work for me, and I just remember from that Revolution match when Eric Redbeard gets tagged in and he just stands on the apron and looks down and he goes, "Oh man, why is he in there?" And it's so entertaining to watch it. It makes me laugh every time, and I love when wrestlers can make me laugh with the subtlest little things. I'm always entertained. But this has potential to be match of the night because you've got the likes of Buddy Murphy in there, Malachi Black, Brody King is a beast, and he could destroy all three of the other guys. I mean, seeing him go up against Penta is going to be really good. The odd one out for me is Pac in this match because since they formed, he just doesn't fit the equation for me with Death Triangle. But like I said, put them all together and they're going to do some crazy stuff. And this has potential to be match of the night.
Absolutely. And obviously, Penta made the challenge by revealing the tombstone as well there with the double or nothing House of Black on it, which I thought was a fun twist. Obviously, we've now gone to the Penta Oscuro, which I think is the Pentagon Dark character we sort of had in Lucha Underground. Phoenix has now gone with the all white since coming back to get that contrast there. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out. Like I said, these two teams are going to tear up, and I do think this one could go either way. Actually, coming on to this podcast, I was House of Black all day long as the prediction, but I think this feud needs to finish, and I think that the only way it does finish is if the babyfaces actually pick up the victory. I say babyface, it's a bit of a loose term. Death Triangle doesn't seem the most squeaky clean babyface team name, does it? But I'm going to go with Death Triangle to pick up the victory here because Phoenix is back, and I do think that if Malachi Black or Buddy Matthews could be the one that could take the fall here, and I don't think it would be such a bad thing on the House of Black to finally get a defeat against their name. I don't think they've lost to this point, so I think that this would give Death Triangle a bit of momentum going forward after this show, and they can hopefully all go and move on to different things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've gone exactly the same way. I've gone Death Triangle. House of Black have been winning something rotten recently, and it just makes sense for the faces to win in this one. Again, but this is why this company needs a trios tag team title because there's so many factions in there, and you just find that you sometimes struggle with creative for some of them. That's why you need these titles to be put in there so they can have a ranking system so we can see the reasons for why some of these matches are put together. So like on the odd occasion, you can have a trios match that doesn't need to make sense. It's just a trios match to get themselves further up the card, and it would make a hell of a lot more sense.
Certainly, indeed, there. Absolutely. We're excited to see how it's going to play out anyway, but we've both gone for Death Triangle, and could be a show stealer, that one. And another one that could be a show stealer in its own unique way is the Anarchy in the Arena match, because, well, when it comes to Stadium Stampede, consent to this, but John Moxley said he don't do that shit. We've got Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz, and the Blackpool Combat Club against the Jericho Appreciation Society. We've almost got pro wrestlers and, well, let's be fair, Eddie Kingston straight out brawlers going against Jericho, who is a wizard, by the way. Don't anyone tell you different. He actually can put fireballs in people's faces, which he did to Eddie Kingston at one point as well. Did say that Kingston should be looking after the family. If not, the wife can always give him a call. I've got to say I've enjoyed a lot of this. Jericho and Kingston's gone all the way back from Revolution as well. We've seen the fact that we've had the face-to-face confrontations, and the fact that now Jericho's got this appreciation group as well. The Revolutionary Force in Sports Entertainment, just the stupid names with the group as well. Daniel Garcia is showing his character out as well. And now we've got the Blackpool Combat Club involved as well here. I was really hoping that we were going to get William Regal scream blood and guts, but we didn't quite get there. But Anarchy in the Arena basically is Stadium Stampede, but is basically just not in a stadium. It's going to be a complete anarchy, all across. So we expect this to go in the crowd, probably backstage, probably Falls Count Anywhere. It's going to be so much fun. I think this match could definitely be one of the fun ones of the night.
Yeah, this is potentially to be the craziest match of the night with the stuff that they're going to get up to. But yeah, the fact that Chris Jericho made sports entertainment a dirty word in AEW is the biggest laugh for me ever. The fact that they love it, and Chris Jericho at 50-something years old. I mean, he has got to go down as one of the greatest of all time. The stuff that he does and his character work, like he's on one of my format much more, and he will sit there forever. The others will sometimes intertwine and change and whatever, but Jericho, for everything he's done since I first saw him debut on Raw that night against The Rock. Do you know what I mean? He's just done no wrong for me. I think his character works great. But yeah, the feud itself, it's just been so entertaining. And the fact that they've had this whole, they've all, and the good thing is like Jericho has a history with Bryan and Moxley from obviously previous WWE days, and the way that Jericho brings some of this stuff back up. Like, I'm still waiting for him to bring up the potted plant. I think I'm just waiting for him to say that, and then I'll be done. I'll be completely finished. But yes, he is a wizard. He did it again last night as well to some random guy backstage. He just looks at the camera and goes, "I'm a wizard," and I'm like, "Yes, you are." It's going to be thoroughly entertaining. For my prediction, as much as I want Jericho to win this, because I think he actually needs to win one of these arena matches. Well, no, I don't think he's won one out of what 3 he's been in so far.
One Stadium Stampede 2. They won Stadium Stampede 2.
And then
lost
obviously they lost one. And they lost the one to MJF as well.
Yeah, they lost the Blood and Guts match. Yeah.
That's it. That's one for So yeah, these big sort of arena matches. As much as I'd love to see Jericho win another one, I'd love it. The way that Kingston's being booked at the minute, Kingston's getting the rub massively. Like his whole backstory and how the fact that he's never been a world champion, and AEW doing right by him. By me, they're slowly building him up as a massive face in the company. And whether I say whether Santana Ortiz and Kingston go on to win trios titles gold. I would love to see Kingston go on and win the World Championship. AEW just got this knack for booking these people in believable situations. Like I said, as I keep saying, when Orange Cassidy was in that triple threat for the AEW World Championship, and they made Cassidy look like he could win the World Championship. And from that point, I was like, in 4 or 5 years, I could believe Orange Cassidy being your world champion. And they did the same with Kingston, and I think it's great.
They are doing some wonderful character work with these guys. And like you say, I mean, Kingston was told he wasn't wanted anywhere else, but why would he need to? AEW has been such a perfect home for him, and they've done some incredible things with him. And obviously, there are some big Eddie Kingston fans out there, and obviously some of them would love to see him like I say, win the big one day. Even the TNT Championship, I think could have. I was surprised they didn't go for it with him against Miro last year at the Stadium show when they did that in September. And obviously they went with Sammy Guevara in the end, and obviously the rest is history with the TNT title. It's not been the same since. But I think with someone like Kingston, I think it could have really, really worked had he been the one that won that belt. But obviously, like you said, that I think in a way, Jericho Appreciation Society, this match doesn't suit them at all. The sports entertainers in a bloody brawl, they shouldn't be coming out with the win, but they are the team that's used to being together. So in a way, it would be kind of nice if they could squeak a victory out here and this then goes to blood and guts. I think that would be the best way to do it. But a part of me just feels, I look at the stipulation, I can't look past the baby faces.
Yeah, but then I suppose from a point of view, if you was to book Jericho, the JAS as winning it, you could then have a faction between a rivalry between Kingston Santana and Ortiz and the Blackpool Combat Club, and that could be a story going forward as like a fallout from losing the match. That these, like, you can bring Wheeler Yuta into it and have the six go at it. Again, I'm saying it again. This trios title. You can put these, like, have these guys building towards, do a tournament like they love to do, have a trios tournament that they could involve these with. That's why I believe, like, there is a possibility that the Jericho Appreciation Society could win. But yeah, like I'm saying with you, it's got to be the faces. They just need this.
Yeah, they really, really do. I think the faces will go over, and it's one I'm on the fence with because it seems too good, that side. But I mean, you look at the likes of Kingston and Moxley. I know the team last night against Private Party, but we've had like Moxley, Kingston, that they're used to this sort of hardcore environment. Brian Danielson as well was, good for that. Santana Ortiz as well. So let's see how it's going to go down. But I think we've got to go with the baby faces here. And let's go to the comments, which also Noob saying going with the Blackpool Combat Club winning because sports entertainment should stay in WWE and pro wrestling should stay in WWE, AEW. But I don't know whose side is on sports entertainment or pro wrestling. To be fair, I'm going to say that I think sports entertainment is in both companies, WWE and AEW. I'm interested in your take on that.
For me with WWE, it's all like Raw and SmackDown are almost treated like a soap opera, and a pay-per-view is the film payoff.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, So you imagine, this is going to be a really bad analogy, the example of this, but you imagine Sex and the City, the TV show, is Raw and SmackDown, and then the Sex and the City, the movies, are the pay-per-view events, and that's essentially what I feel with WWE. It's all entertainment. It's all like short bouts of wrestling, more about stories, more about characters, more about people being on screen, and then just to build to the pay-per-view, which is the movie, which is why you go and see it. But then with AEW, let's be honest, every single bit of character work is sports entertainment in AEW. Yeah. It's just when you get inside the ring, it's a completely different show. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to give you 2-minute squash matches unless it kind of story-wise makes sense. You're going to see proper wrestling matches. You're going to see people go at each other, and they're going to do stuff, and it's good. It all makes sense. So yeah, it is that kind of sort of weird analogy, but yeah, that's my opinion on it anyway.
No, I totally agree with you with a lot of what you said. The only thing I would say is we've got a dinosaur on this show, so there's definitely sports entertainment in it. We've got Orange Cassidy, we've got Danhausen on this show, so there is sports entertainment elements in there. But like you said, the pro wrestling, there is more stronger pro wrestling in AEW. There's no question about that. But it's an interesting concept there, Noob. And I do agree that we agree with your prediction that the Blackpool Combat Club will be picking up the W alongside with Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Jonesy's in the house saying, what a pay-per-view. Yeah, he's looking forward to it. We are as well. Jonesy, let us know some of your picks in the comments, please, as well. I'd love to know your take on what's going to be going on with this weekend. And obviously, as well, Nubico saying that Death Triangle will be his pick as well because he's starting to lose interest in House of Black. Doesn't fit them in AEW. Buddy and Bash should have said in WWE, in his opinion. Interesting.
No, the one that irritates me is that everyone keeps comparing House of Black to Judgment Day, and it's like, let's be honest. They're just because they're dark and brooding, it doesn't mean they're the same thing. Malachi Black and the House of Black, they're the satanic ritual people. Edge is just being edged, like annoyed and pissed off at everyone else in the world. It's just because of the name. I think that there's a reason why a lot of people get these references. But yeah, as for Buddy and Black, as much as I'd love to see him stay in WWE, I think they're just happier being out, and like I said, with AEW, there's so much more freedom, and there's not as many restrictions on the stuff they can do, and they can be more creatively themselves.
Absolutely, but
It's again 50 of one and half of another.
certainly. And if you've been released by WWE, they don't get much of a choice either. So I mean, the Malachi Black was
exactly.
definitely released. So yeah, that will be the final sign. But it should be a lot of fun anyway. And we're gonna move things over, switching up to the Owen Hart Cup. I'm going to start with the men's final, Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Now, just before we're going to talk about this match, because we said at the very start here you were looking forward to this match in particular, what have been your thoughts of the Owen Hart Cup tournament in general? Have you enjoyed the tournament? Has it been what you wanted out of it?
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, I've enjoyed it. No, because I don't feel that they used enough. Don't get me wrong. When you had Dax versus Cash, if the FTR qualifier match, I thought it was brilliant. The storyline played out really well, but what was the point in having Samoa Joe face the Joker and the Joker coming in and losing? I would like to have at least seen the Joker advance one more match and then lose to Joe. Maybe it would have made a little bit more sense. So there again, there's some sort of 50-50 questioning with the booking, but I would like to have seen, like, when you used to watch King of the Ring and you had Billy Gunn win the King of the Ring. I would like to have seen like some more sort of underutilized names. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but yeah, I don't feel there was all big names, but no sort of real sort of the guy that's just on the roster for the sake of being the roster guy, kind of. No Billy Guns, essentially.
Even though there's a Billy Gunn on that roster, but
there is a Billy Gunn on the roster. Yeah.
But for me personally, the only gripes I had with it, I didn't see enough emphasis on Owen, what this tournament meant to people because of it being Owen Hart. And I think people go, well, it's a given. It's Owen Hart, one of the great ex-athletes through the 90s. We've obviously tragically lost him and stuff. And I would have liked to have seen more submission-based wrestling in places, more the technical prowess. I know that he competed in Japan, which is why we've had some of the Japanese stars in there as well, which is great to see. For me, I just wanted a bit more connectivity. Maybe one of those people that's been in this, like for example, Conor Riley. He's Canadian. Could have said, I grew up, really idolizing Owen Hart. This means a lot to me.
Someone who's trained in the dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jeff Hardy worked alongside him. That made sense. Obviously from, time in New Japan, for example, that's what it meant a lot to people like Karashida and Makiono and stuff like that. That sort of stuff. I just needed a bit more of that. Maybe just a collective in a package. What Owen Hart means to me. That's what I'd
exactly
liked.
what I was going to say. Yeah, because you got to think there's probably wrestling fans out there that have probably never seen Owen Hart wrestle, or they've never seen what were we in 2022 now, and I forget what he passed away. Late 90s. So what you looking at 99?
Sadly, over the age of 99.
There's 23-year-old people that watch wrestling that have never seen an Owen Hart match unless they've gone back and watched it on the network, or WWE have uploaded one on YouTube, which they probably won't do because of everything that's gone on since he died. But yeah, I know what you mean. There would have been nice to have had a video package, but then they can get hold of some footage from his times in Japan and stuff like that, but a lot of his stuff is from WWE, and trying to get footage would be such a pain. So yeah, I can see why they haven't done one, but they should still, you're right, should have done one. We might be wrong. Sunday we might get a 3-minute video before the final to the men's match, or do you know what I mean, just to emphasize what Owen Hart was, what he meant. His wife's probably going to be in attendance, so they're probably going to pan to her at some point. Maybe even, like I said, it'd be nice if there's like how NXT does the Dusty Classic, have a trophy that's presented as sort of thing that's something to do with Owen, whether it's I don't know, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It'd just be nice for them to I know what you mean, acknowledge him in much more of a way than just having his name on the label of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just the minor part. And like you said, those things do happen. There's such nice touches and suggestions you've made there that would really just fill it up a lot more for me, because I was a big fan of Owen Hart growing up and really enjoyed some of his rivalries with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and being a part of the Nation and all that sort of stuff. Just some incredible moments. And for me, obviously the one night tournament would have been really nice as well. I think could be a thing they could go in future for this, because like King of the Ring, that's where he, one of his biggest accomplishments. I think would be quite cool to see. You couldn't do that on a Double or Nothing, so I think it's fine how they've done this for the first one. If they're going to do more, I think the Martha obviously being in attendance, I thought was really, really nice as well. Don't don't think they needed jokers in this. I know they didn't play them up much, but the fact they didn't even need to qualify, I think was just a minor hiccup of this as well. But let's go to the match itself here. We've got Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe in the men's final. We've had some great matches. You mentioned there Dax versus Cash, the tribute to WrestleMania 10 with Brett and Owen, I thought was really, really tastefully done. We've had, insane dream matches like Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy. We've had, some great matches in amongst this. And obviously Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe is another first-time match. And you said this is a match you're really, really looking forward to. No story necessarily needed for this. These are two men that are going to come out and absolutely tear it down. How do you see this going down on Saturday or Sunday? I think I'll take the shows on.
This will be probably the most hard hitting one of the night because just what the Joe's wrestling style, he could end up brutalizing Adam Cole in this match. And another one that again for me is really hard to decide on what the outcome is, and I'm trying to think logically going forward who would benefit more from it. I mean, yeah, it's such a hard one to call, but yeah, like I said, first time ever these two are ever actually wrestling the match together. It should be absolutely killer. From a logistic, just from a story point of view, like it's going to be interesting to how they do it. Because let's be honest, Joe's not best suited to long matches. He's used to short 10-15 minute matches. So how they're going to hopefully possibly play that in, and whether Cole's going to try and push him to the time limit, whether it's a 20 minute, a 25 minute, 30 minute, whatever. It will be really interesting to see how it plays out and then goes on to decide who actually ends up winning the match.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, there's a great contrast in styles here with these two. Samoa Joe has been around for a very, very long time. Adam Cole, I think, has been around since 2009, the start of his career. But Adam Cole seems to be like the big name stock right now. Samoa Joe has been a name that you mentioned at the start of this video. Tore it up. We've got TNA Joe back at this point, Ring of Honor Joe. Obviously, his NXT days was so much more watered down to the character of what we'd seen even on the main roster with Raw and SmackDown. So it's going to be fascinating to see what they're going to do here. To give a prediction, I'm going to go with Adam Cole, and there's a reason that we'll come into it perhaps a bit more clearer very shortly. But at the same time, I think it's almost that established name. Adam Cole obviously was going for the world title not long ago. I think they want to keep him with that name credit. I think Samoa Joe still has the feud going on with Jay Lethal, the Ring of Honor stuff going on as well. So I think an AEW guy solidified just AEW is going to win this. And I think it's almost like, this is almost like 1993 King of the Ring for me. Bret Hart, the established, is going to make the big win here. And I think if they continue to do this in future years, it's going to be like your Owens, your genuine Owen of 94, where, that sort of guy can get to the next level. And I think that's what they're doing with it this time. They're making the marquee name to have it that first time round. So for me, I'm going to predict Adam Cole for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, especially because Joe the ROH TV champion, I believe.
He is, yes.
So yeah, having an ROH champion, even though they're the same company, I suppose. My only worry is that they're putting too much on Adam Cole. Like they're almost, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like overexposing him. Like we're just getting so much of him. And when he come in, he had the big name debut, and then he's gone on to face Page for the world title twice. And that's the one thing is that it's not going to end up being like how WWE do and just try and force someone down your throat all the time. By just overexposing him so much, which I don't believe AEW will do. Yeah, I've gone the same as you on this. As much as I'd like to see Joe win it, again, it's Adam Cole, man, and Adam Cole is like he's one of the biggest names in wrestling at the minute. So I think it would be criminal for him not to win it. And like I said, if they can make this tournament a yearly thing, like what you said, they can start making a proper deal. This can essentially be AEW's King of the Ring, and like I said, everyone loves tournament wrestling, so it could be massive going forward. Yeah,
I mean, as a tournament, we've had some great matches in amongst it, and it's been fantastic in both men and women. So, we'll have to see how it's going to play out. Nubenko has given his take on it, saying, I'm going with Samoa Joe winning because this tournament is underwhelming. But AEW should have given more focus on Owen Hart. His legacy is documented. His wife, Martha, is there. Put some focus on who Owen is. So that's Noob's take on that. We've discussed already our thoughts on a lot of that. So we shall move forward onto match 8, which is the women's bracket, obviously, of the tournament. So we know Britt Baker's in the final. She beat Toni Storm last night, which I think can go into a bit of conversation itself. It's going to go into either Chris Statlander or Ruby Soho. Now, Statlander wasn't even in the tournament. She replaced, I believe, Hikaru Shida, if not mistaken, in the tournament, and then defeated Red Velvet to get to this semi-final against Ruby Soho. I see a lot of love on Twitter for Statlander to even make it to the final, but I think Soho is making it to the final because Soho hasn't done so much recently. And I mean, we've had Statlander versus Baker on AEW pay-per-view before at All Out last year. I don't recall Baker versus Soho on a pay-per-view. We've had it on Dynamite. So I think that could be the reason why they might go down that avenue. What are your thoughts?
When Baker fought Soho for the title, that was on Dynamite, it wasn't on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was the Arthur Ashe Stadium show, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's why it felt like a pay-per-view because it was at a weird arena. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. This is again, there's so many good wrestlers on like Chris Statlander is another one for me. She's exactly like Jade Cargill and Anna Jay. Like she's got such a massive backing and following from the crowd. A lot of people were really happy that she was a replacement for Hikaru Shida. But I'm the same as you. I think Ruby Soho is going to win on Rampage tomorrow night. And I actually think Ruby Soho is going to go on to beat Britt because I think Ruby Soho really needs this. I think since she come in, she won the Battle Royale. She then went on to face Britt, and she's kind of really not done anything since. And I think she could really do with something going forward, of whatever the outcome is of this Owen Hart tournament, whether they get a title shot or something. I think Ruby really does need it more than Britt Baker because Britt Baker has already established herself, and I think Ruby coming over from WWE it still needs to go somewhere for me.
No, I can understand. And you're alone think of that. Too Sweet Carl said here, Ruby for the win, she needs it. So it thinks exactly the same as you. So here's my take. I think Britt Baker's winning the tournament. Now, I know people may say, oh, she doesn't need it. In fact, Too Sweet Carl here says that I'm a huge Britt fan, but I don't think she needed that win over Storm. Britt has had her time, just like you said as well a minute ago. But here's my reasoning for it. I've got Adam Cole for the men. Mr. and Mrs. Owen Hart tournament final winners. They can play on that in the storyline afterwards. And Britt Baker, if she doesn't win this, she's been a champion for a long time. What has she done since? Does she fall down the pecking order?
I mean, if it's anything to go by Rampage last night, she might be falling out with who is the British girl that's in her faction?
Jamie Hayter.
Yeah. I think there was a whole thing on. I remember watching it vaguely, and I know I think it was Jamie that came down to interfere in the match last night with Tony. I think that's why I think Ruby as well. I think that's setting up a split between Britt and Jamie, and we're going to get a whole sort of rivalry between those two. So again, that's another reason why I've gone Ruby. I should have mentioned that before.
Interesting. Yeah, it certainly could be a way you go down. They do probably need to go down avenue at some point. So, I mean, maybe Jamie Hayter is the reason that costs her. That could be quite interesting to see how it will go. Yeah. So, maybe accidentally could happen. So, yeah, it'd be interesting how it's going to go down. But we've got a number of comments that come up flying in here. So, let's go see what everyone's got to say. Anubico says, I'm going with Ruby Soho winning. Britt Baker already had a time. She needs to go to the back of the line. And I'm going with Jamie Hayter to turn on Britt Baker. So, there you go. Another one giving a shout for that as well. Southern Pro Wrestling House says, evening all. Evening to you as well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Also saying here that AEW intend to have younger talents in groups. Would Lee Moriarty be a perfect fit with Swerve and Keith Lee as a trio? A quick answer on that one from me. Why not? I mean, Lee Moriarty could do with some TV time. I know there was a link with him as well, the Blackpool Combat Club at one point. That seems to have gone quite of late. So let's see what goes on in the future. But could potentially be. Yeah,
I mean, the way that they're sort of some of these factions have been put, like especially like the JAS, like they're bringing in the two guys that used to be in NXT, and like really like Jericho's just doing what Jericho's doing to try and get people at the name, and Blackpool Combat Club bringing Wheeler Yuta has just been a kind of a third wheel when he was part of Best Friends, and now they've brought him into the Blackpool Combat Club. It's really starting to push his name up. He's starting to get big wins, so it's doing wonders for him. The same can be done for Lee Moriarty if he was to join Swerve and Keith Lee. The exact same thing, that he'd like just push his name up the card, get him more exposure as well. I mean, who's is it Dante
Martin? Yeah,
Dante Martin as well. I know his brother's out injured again. Not that they've done anything wrong with Dante Martin, but yeah, he if they was to put him in with someone just to give him something fresh to keep him going, keep building his name as well.
Absolutely, no, I totally agree. That would be interesting. Obviously, he was part of Ring of Honor as well when they did the show at Supercard of Honor, so maybe he could be involved with that going forward. We'll have to see how it would lead with Lee Moriarty, but certainly is a heck of a talent that's nonetheless. So thank you for the question. And agreement here with NXSteve here from Two Sweet Cole says to separate Baker confused with Jamie Hayter. So maybe something I've missed there, something I could have missed, and it would be. I would like to see someone different win it, but I just to say I've gone for the established for year one of the Owen Hart Cup, and maybe that could be what they do for year two to give the underdogs if you want. Southern Process going with Samoa Joe winning the Owen Hart Cup and Punk winning the world title for Joe versus Punk at some point. Would be interesting to see that feud once again. Obviously, it's been many, many years since we've seen that one go down. Also, just realised from Southern Pro Wrestling that there's no casino ladder match or battle royal at Double or Nothing or on the buy-in. There certainly isn't. He said he would at least have that. It's like WWE's version of the Royal Rumble at Double or Nothing every year. There isn't on there this year. It seems to me personally that they've got a lot of matches. They've got the Owen Hart Cup going on. They've got all these other matches, title matches. Perhaps just didn't feel the need to fit it on, perhaps at this time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a second kickoff show match would possibly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really want to see Antonio CSRO debut in AEW, and I really want to see someone finally give that guy a chance and put a world title on him. And that would have been like an ideal time to have him come in as a Joker. I know he's doing his own thing with coffee or something at the minute, but yeah, hopefully one day he might appear and he might go on and he might win a world title, which is long overdue for him.
Yeah, it's a shame there's no casino battle royale, but we'll have to wait and see what will lead down on the way. But big thanks to everyone that's been throwing the comments in. Our viewership has just dropped up by about 5 people just by the comments have been thrown along. So do make sure to share your predictions for the show as we go into our final 2 matches. It really does help the channel. If you need a like as well, if you get opportunity, that would be great as well. It does help the algorithms here on YouTube as we go to talk about the AEW Women's World Championship. Thunder Rosa going against Serena Deeb. A lot of talking been involved with this rivalry. Let's be fair with this one. I mean, to be fair, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb want the best women's division possible. I just think that AEW could be a bit better, more creative with trying to make that a rivalry between these two. But I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of back and forth between the two. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, really. I just think that the match itself will outshine what I think has been a bit of a lackluster build. And I do think that Thunder Rosa, obviously, this is her first proper championship defense after Nyla Rose at Battle of the Belts. So I'm hoping she's going to have a good showing. I think she could be really good as a long-term face for the AEW Women's Division. Serena Deeb, though, she's a heck of an in-ring talent. It's great to see her get a chance to showcase her talents on the big stage.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same with you. The build to this has been really painful in places to watch. I mean, for me personally, like I know Thunder Rosa obviously has a sort of obviously her heritage and where she's from and her language and stuff. Her English obviously isn't the most fluent. So for the love of God, I don't know why they didn't do some sort of like video package or montage sort of thing where she just speaks over it, where we didn't have to put up with these awkward interactions. But all that aside, that's all done and dusted now. Onto the pay-per-view match itself. Yeah, this will be fantastic. It's nice to see Serena Deeb in a match like this as well, because she's another one that this isn't what I mean. Love at AEW is they give these people that they've had these careers, but people still don't know who they are. Like I knew of the name Serena Deeb, but I'd never obviously gone out of my way to watch her. And this is again, so AEW doing fantastic work and giving her the opportunity to be in a Women's World Championship match on a pay-per-view. They only have 4 or 5 of these a year, so this is a really big deal for someone like Serena Deeb.
Absolutely, and she's going to showcase the talents. And could Thunder Rosa be a short-term champion, or is Rosa going to overcome the odds? I'm a big fan of both in ring. I'm a very big fan, particularly of Thunder Rosa, and I do think that she's going to retain the championship here. I think that she will be. I think she'll be holding that championship till Jade Cargill finally comes around and wins it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good shout. I'm going to say the same and say Thunder Rosa. Don't get me wrong, I'd be all up for a shock win, but I just think that it wouldn't do Thunder Rosa any good losing her 2nd or 3rd title defense. So yeah, for me, I've gone the same. I'm going to say Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. We'll go for Thunder on that one then. Hopefully a good showing between these two women. to give the match that they want to give. They want to make it the best women's division in the world. Give them time, give them the match to showcase and tell that story. But we're going to go then on the AEW Championship match, our final match, the main event. Hangman Adam Page defending against CM Punk. This has been a very interesting feud between the two of these gentlemen. Obviously, Hangman Adam Page has gone through a roller coaster ride as AEW World Champion at this point. CM Punk obviously has got himself where he's stopped the nostalgic comeback tour, had the big feud with MJF, and now has been signaling he wants that championship belt. Hangman was off with COVID, so CM Punk took the mic and said that he's here to, he's here to win the gold. If you're not here to do it, why here at all anyway? And we've seen, almost a bitter Hangman, if you want. I think it seems to be every term CM Punk knows what he's doing. He's getting in Hangman Page's head, and Hangman Page has played the villain at some point in this storyline because of the fact that he's almost said, he's going to make people wish they got a refund on the CM Punk t-shirts. But I do wonder, obviously there's been a back and forth, and you can give a bit more detail on this with the package, the back and forth last night on Dynamite. Hangman Adam Page, if I'm not mistaken, said along the lines that he's not just defending the championship here. He's doing it for the locker room of AEW, the diva in the back that is CM Punk. I wonder if this storyline is going to go and take another level further forward, because maybe Hangman Adam Page seems a bit defensive at this point, but maybe, CM Punk might be able to get in his head, but CM Punk is actually showing heel tactics here that Hangman might be able to expose at some point.
See, I said to you before we come on there last night, that package, I personally think is Hangman Page's best promo to date. Like, it was convincing, it was believable. It started off a slight bit ropey to begin with, but once he got his foot and steady and he knew what he was doing, it was phenomenal. And it was almost pipe bomb-esque, what he was trying to deliver with Punk in the ring, and I thought it was really clever and really well written and really well delivered. It's a really strange dynamic, because they're doing the right thing and having a heel face dynamic, because for me, having Page as a face in this wouldn't have worked at all. He needed to be the heel in this for me to make it more believable. I mean, after the package last night, he takes the cheap shot at Punk, knocks Punk on his back, on his ass, and Hangman, he almost is mortified at the fact that he's done it, but it's the right thing to do for the story-wise, because I'm all invested in this now. For me, Hangman Page's title reign has, for me personally, felt really lackluster. Like, I just don't think it's delivered on the hype that the build was to him winning the title. I think there was all these opportunities that everyone was behind. Then he won it, and it's like, it's just kind of gone straight down the middle. But this could be, for me, the point that makes his title reign a legitimate legacy and makes people go, do you remember that time Page was champion and he fought Punk? And people go, yeah, I remember that. It has that potential to do it if it's done right. I mean, for me personally, I would like to see this as a point where Page turns heel.
Nice.
Because then it's a dynamic that we're not expecting, and it would, I think, deliver more of a shock value. Whether he does some sort of heel tactics, whether he does some cheap shots, I don't know. But I just think it needs it. And then whoever's going to be next to take the title off of him, if, I don't know, say for instance, if Adam Cole was going to go for it again, you could push Cole as the face. I don't know, but for me personally, say pushing Hangman as the heel for me is the right thing to do. Yes.
Interesting. No, I think obviously the dynamic of what could happen with this going forward is going to be very interesting. I feel that one of them will go heel of the two of them, probably coming out of this pay-per-view. So it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out storytelling wise. But let's go into obviously there's no doubt these two are going to tell a great match of how they're going to do it. But the key thing is the argument here on either side, because as I said, I was at the start of this podcast, I was torn to see both sides of the argument of why each person should win, because CM Punk arguably doesn't need to win a championship, but it completes a comeback story as well, doesn't it? 7 years away from the ring. People thought he'd never, ever return to wrestling. His comeback to AEW after probably the initial times of turning them back down, probably back in 2019, and offers that have been there previously. He's now come in. He's now here. He's now at this point. Does it feel like the right thing to do, to pull the trigger and say, right, okay, let's have CM Punk be the guy, complete the comeback story, and maybe it just brings some other fans back in to AEW that maybe are not watching or on a casual standpoint, or former WWE people go, "Oh, CM Punk, I knew he was there, but now he's the champion. I need to see what's going on."
Yeah, I mean that's a very legitimate argument there. I mean, I get you could see them doing it, but then my argument for that is that WWE should have done that with Edge.
Yeah.
When Edge come back, and Edge's whole thing was getting back the title that he never lost. He had to forego it, give it over because he was injured and couldn't compete no more. So this is why this is a really hard match to call, because Hangman needs to win to cement his legacy. I feel personally, Punk needs to win to, like you just said, finish off the return, make it so that it was worthwhile. It was the whole point of him coming back, was to come back and be champion again. The possibilities with who could go on to then face Punk after are probably more varied. Like, you've probably got more options. Like, you've got your likes of MJF going for the title, which they can revisit, which was fantastic before. It's such a hard dynamic to try and explain, but I can see what you mean. Like, say, Punk winning it would make all the sense in the world, and maybe they do want to do that. Maybe they do want to appeal to some of the fans that switched off from wrestling 7 years ago when he left. Maybe they do want to try and bring back some of that old ECW lot. Maybe just try and get more eyes on them in general. It's really, really hard to tell.
It certainly is indeed, because that's the one side. Like you said there, Hangman Page probably needs to cement that reign as top guy, as top champion. And let's be fair, what a notch on the cowboy belt having CM Punk on there, along with the likes of Bryan Danielson he's defeated. Yes, he's defeated Lance Archer and a few others as well. But obviously, CM Punk is arguably the biggest match in his career to date. It's a pay-per-view main event, probably his biggest match he's had since Chris Jericho when he went to become the first ever AEW World Champion. So there is a lot of arguments for both sides here. So it's now comes down to the crunch time of the prediction. And I am going to go out on my neck and say, I think Hangman Page retains.
I'm going to go exactly the same, just for the pure fact that I think Page needs it. Page just for me just needs it so much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, when's Forbidden Door coming up? When's that?
June 26th.
So that's only a month away.
Yeah.
So depending on what they want to do for Forbidden Door, I mean, is it still Okada that's champion New Japan? Because I presume this is going to be kind of like an Invasion or a SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Like, it's just going to be champion versus champion. And when is Hangman versus Okada the draw that it is, where as if it was Punk versus Okada? Do you know what I mean? From a business perspective, people will pay more money to see Punk versus Okada, because we've still got enough time to see Okada versus Hangman if it's not already happened before. I'm not too sure. I'm not clued up on Bullet Club history. Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's the business point. It makes sense to put it on Punk, but I think for the personal reason, it has to be Hangman for me. He needs it. He needs it more than what Punk does. And like I said, I've still got Edge in my mind, where I've seen Edge come back, not win the world title, and he's doing absolutely fine. And I think it's more that Hangman will benefit more from Punk putting him over than it will from Hangman putting Punk over.
Totally agree. And you mentioned Forbidden Door. It's a great point here. I think that Punk will be taking on Kenta, because Punk has actually made reference about the GTS recently on commentary, saying that some people take offense to that move being used. I see that it's a sincere form of flattery. So I think the dig was put a seed in there of Punk versus Kenta on that commentary moment. So I think that will happen. And like you say, Page, can go against Okada, perhaps can go against someone else if they want to. We've had the Invasion. So here's that last question then, because with the chat's going absolutely mental now, which is great to see, by the way. We're trying to get through the comments before we come off. But just want to know, do you think, obviously we had Great Khan and Jeff Cobb come in on Dynamite this week. Do you think we're going to get some more Invasion from Japan at this show?
I would love nothing more than Will Ospreay to turn up. I would want so much for Will Ospreay to turn up. For him, even for him to turn up and challenge Page or something. Like, you know how AEW are quite like AEW taking that New Japan mentality, where even though it's a pay-per-view, your next challenger can still come out at the end of the pay-per-view and be like, I'm next for that title. If Will Ospreay come out, I would absolutely lose my nut for it. I think Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's a local boy. He's from my neck of the woods. He's from Essex. So, I've got to back him.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's a very good possibility we may see more people in there. I am not clued up as to who the champions are in New Japan at the minute, so I don't know. I don't even know if they've still got an Intercontinental title. I know they merged it with the world title, but I think they separated them again. They still have it. I don't even know who the tag team champions are, which again, all the results. We could be completely wrong with these results playing towards Forbidden Door and however they're going to do. I mean, let's be honest, no titles are going to be on the line, so I think it's just going to be a case of this is going to be a big fan service, and it's going to be you might get a Carter versus Page, but then again, you might not because neither company is going to want their champion losing to an opposing company's champion. So you might see the likes of Okada come back, Okada face someone like. John Moxley, for example, I don't even know, Chris Jericho or someone like that. So yeah, it could be anything. So the possibilities are endless. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see if anyone does turn up.
Certainly will be. I want Okada versus Danielson. I'm just going to throw that out there now.
Yeah,
don't,
man.
A 45-minute show. This is going to be about a 10-hour show for Forbidden Door, by the way. So we'll do predictions for them when it does come around.
10-hour door, 9.5 hours would be Bryan Danielson versus Okada.
Yeah, and I'm not going to complain. 7 stars, everybody. 7 stars.
7?
Let's go
about 14.
Probably. I think Nuts will have a field day with that one. He's probably trying to find how many stars he's got in a hat to put on the board for that one. But let's go through the chat. We're going to do the stream now for 5 more minutes. So I'm going to go through as many comments as possible. We'll try and be brief with them so we get everyone on as much as possible. Anoop saying going to go with Thunder Rosa winning the match will be fun and build downright terrible. Too much talking, less fighting. Let's hope we see some violence on Sunday. Totally agree. We need violence with these two and it should be a good match. Southern Pro Wrestling, NXSteve. I'm also a big fan of Claudio, aka Cesaro. And whenever RH do their next pay-per-view, I see him debuting there in Ring of Honor. As fans, we want the King of Wrestling Union, FTL versus Kings of Wrestling. There you are.
Yes.
It's already getting it. To go with Pretty Deadly, yes, boy. That would be pretty good.
Yes, boy.
Southern Pro Wrestling, Jade, Kira Hogan, and Red Velvet versus Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Ember Moon. Good vibes, certainly would be indeed. Those Sasha and Naomi aren't going anywhere just yet, just to say. But it will be good if they are available. I would be down for it. Jeff Samuel says that I see Tim Taz wins the tag belts. Swerve pulls a chair. Matt chair shot crying on Keith Lee. And Swerve will join Taz. Thunder retains. Punk wins because Samoa Joe wins. So fun prediction there with Swerve turning heel. Could you see that at any point? I mean, it'd be interesting to see Swerve as a heel because he definitely got the dynamics of being able to do it.
Yeah, I think it's just unless again, it could possibly happen. Like I said, if then they're going to go on to do Keith Lee versus Swerve, it'd be interesting to see. This was the other thing I forgot to mention actually about the tag team match was the fact that it's one small guy, one big guy. The dynamic, I love that dynamic, and I think having 3 teams with the same dynamic is going to be really exciting. Sorry, just to throw that out there randomly.
No, I think it's a great dynamic. It's a great point that you make there. So, it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out. I personally don't see a heel turn, but we'll keep that in mind. If it does happen, be immediately giving you the credit for it. Also had Ruby Soho winning as well there. Anubico, Hangman and Page is defending the AEW locker room because a lot of fans really hating Punk. So Hangman Page is winning. I think a lot of fans are on board with CM Punk still, but he's a divisive character. I'm sure some are liking, some are not liking. Whatever you're feeling, whether you like or hate, show that vibe, show that energy. I'm sure he would want that.
Yeah, he seems to be very 50-50 depending on where they are in the country. Like I know when they was I think it was Long Island last week, he was booed out the building but that's MJF territory, so he's expected to be. So yeah.
Punk played well on that. He did that really, really well.
Exactly.
Southern Pro says, I would love an MJF versus Samoa Joe program in AEW. At the time when Joe was NXT champion, when Joe pushed a young MJF, it'd be a masterclass with them both on mic. Yeah, both are great on the mic. So yeah, that'd be a fun feud. I'd love to see that down the line. That'd be awesome.
They need to get Joe on the mic more because it's one of his best character features is his mic work. He's unbelievable. Like that promo he cut on I think it was the Intercontinental title picture scene where you've got Randy out there and you've got Jeff out there and the way he just destroys them. Oh, it was amazing, man. I absolutely love Joe on the mic.
That's a YouTube moment if you ever had one, honestly. Chris Williams as well says got Swerve and Jeff Cobb come out and cause a swerve. Sorry, not swerve, a swerve. Jeff Cobb comes out and causes a DQ, showing a new monster and attacks Punk and Hangman. New Japan Pro Wrestling invasion. And Hangman retains. Britt Baker wins, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus retained as well. So that's the take there. Can you imagine Jeff Cobb being the one that goes against Hangman and Adam Page? That'd be a fun match to watch, but it looked like they were going to go for FTR after Dynamite.
Yeah, the FTR/Roppongi. So I don't know if United Empire are feuding with Roppongi Vice in New Japan at the minute, but then again, this could be for those. They're the AAA tag team champions, aren't they? FTR. So whether this is playing into something for Triple Mania, for example, I don't know, but it should be exciting.
Certainly good. They could be indeed there. I hope it's on Forbidden Door. Russell Red is saying that Punk heel turn with the world champion, and then Punk is the new leader in New Japan, and the two guys attack Hangman and Page. Oh, fun! That's well, I mean, Will Ospreay has something to say about that because that's his group. But certainly, we'll be interested to see how it would play out. But yeah, I mean, Punk versus Ospreay would be quite exciting as well. Although Ospreay did a fantastic interview with Wrestling's. Check that interview out if you've got a spare 2 hours. Go and check it out. It's absolutely phenomenal. Ospreay opens up so much, and Wrestling's fantastic group of podcasters. They do great work over there, and the fact they got the caliber of someone like Will Ospreay on there just to talk and open up and talk everything about pro wrestling, it's unbelievable. Go and check it out. Honestly, incredible. Randy Sam, we're going to do one last little couple of comments now. Literally about 2 minutes left, and we'll go for what we can. So we'll be very, very brief now. Randy Sam says that Hangman retains. Christian turns on Jungle Boy, and Keith and Swerve win the tag belts. Britt wins. Adam Cole wins, and the JS wins by Eddie Kingston turning heel with Santana. New Alex and Ortiz. Interesting if that would be the case. And you mentioned the idea of Alex against the Blackpool Combat Club, so that would be interesting if they were to go down that avenue earlier in the stream. Kenta wants CM Punk at Forbidden Door. Okada wants Danielson. Mox wants Tanahashi. Yes, and I want all 3 of those matches. So Southern Pro, if you've got any stroke, make that happen, please. Randy Sam says there's a free surprise you want to see for this pay-per-view. Kenta return. I mean, Kenta versus Punk. GTS versus GTS. Can't really say 3 surprises that I want. I mean, obviously, I've given the predictions here, but I suppose a surprise is I would like Forbidden Door people to come in from New Japan to set some stuff up. But I also want a lot of these storylines to tie up so they don't continue going forward. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean that as well. I mean, I'm all up for a shock title change. Like if something is guaranteed, like for instance, a Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay winning that, I'd be all up for that. Do you know what I mean? It adds shock values. It adds just them memories that you'll go back years later and go, do you remember that time Anna Jay beat Jade Cargill when no one thought she was going to do it? And it was just, it'd be great to see.
Absolutely, indeed. The Two Carl, yes boy, in there. Fantastic.
Yes,
had to get there in there, did we? Tino's time in the house. Hope you're doing well, Tina. Thank you for checking that stream, mate. Hope you're doing well. He does some great work on his channel as well. Go and check him out if you haven't already. Jason's saying here that Jay Cargill wins and then Athena, Ember Moon, shows up. That would be quite an interesting surprise that could go down. And also got a strange feeling for the World Championship, Punk versus Omega. Let's see what happens on Sunday. I mean, that would be a great match when it does go down, but I have read, Wrestle Talk was the one that actually provided the information from whichever source they took it from at the time, me trying to give some sources, that Omega's not going to be back still for a while, but maybe, just maybe, that could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see what will go down.
They reckon Omega could still be out until next year, apparently.
There you go. Would be a shame if there's a case of miss him in the ring. Maybe an ROH invasion in the show as well for Double or Nothing. Well, that would be interesting. Have all 3 promotions involved in there as well. Could be quite exciting. Andrade, Rouge, Dragon Lee versus Naito, Sonada, and Shingo at Forbidden Door would be cool. LIJ versus LIJ certainly would indeed. That's an exciting That would be a very good combination there. And just do what you have to on the show. There we go. And I missed a comment on Woods apparently there. Jason, I'll go back up and just find that for you very quickly. I've missed a comment. Oh, there we are. I found it for you. No problem. Pick 4 guys who you think is Xavier Woods' mystery in your opinion. And Britt wins, and as well as that we see JS and Thunder Britannia. Well, I'm not going to give you 4 because I'm going to give you 1 because it's who I think it is. It's Drew McIntyre.
Tyler Breeze. Oh, I'll just say Tyler Breeze.
Well, there you go. You've got 2 for you. Tyler Breeze will be epic, especially now he's back.
He's back on up, down. Yeah, I would have said Tyler Breeze. They bring him in for 1 match, but yeah, it's probably going to be Drew McIntyre.
There you go, indeed. There you go. Randy Sampson's a good show, guys. Thank you very much, Dan. For everyone that has enjoyed this, then thank you so much for taking your time out to watch it. What you can do if you could really do it, be really grateful. Hit the thumb up as well, hit the like button, and leave a comment afterwards as well on anything we've discussed on this, whether you want to give some matches for Forbidden Door you want to see, whether it's some predictions as well for Double or Nothing. Get involved in the comments below. Help the algorithms of this video. Steve, anything you want to add before we close off the stream?
Just one more question to ask you, really, before we go. So, obviously, last night there was a head chair shot by Spears to MJF, and I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on it before I gave my thoughts on it.
I'm not personally a fan of the head chair shots these days, as we know the damage they can do, but obviously they are done sporadically in AEW, not very often. So I do think that maybe, for one, it's done as a one-off. Okay, fair enough. And I do think it can lead to MJF going completely solo if he loses to Wardlow this weekend, and then he can blame Spears for it, because maybe that chair shot to the head had something to do with it. I didn't go in 100%.
Yeah, no, because I've just been thinking about it today, and I was like, yes, well, they're not recommended anymore. The fact that it can play into the story going forward is, I suppose, the plus side to it. The fact that we don't see chair shots to the head anymore, and the fact that when MJF took that headshot, he just laid Spark out and he didn't move. And I thought it was great from that perspective. I wouldn't then be a instigator for it to come back every week.
No.
But I just think that it added just that tiny little bit of something to a rivalry that needed. And let's be honest, the chair, they're normally now propped in or gimmicked in some way. So I imagine that while, yes, they shouldn't be doing it, I imagine they put some sort of protection in the way to stop it from being as damaging as what they used to be back in the 90s.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true indeed. Very, very true. Just leaving those last couple of comments on there for you there about the Kota Ibushi being a free agent. Although,
GOD.
Yeah, and GOD, that would be quite exciting to see as well there.
Yeah, and Ibushi being a free agent, yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Ibushi won't be involved at Forbidden Door. No way.
No way. I agree with that as well. And also trying to grow the bun, trying to grow the hair. Been asked here by Randy Sands.
I literally my hair was like full of it, mate. It was all down to my back and everything. I've literally had it cut for the first time in 4 years. So the bun is actually shorter than what it used to be.
There you go, indeed. There you go. And I think it's looking good, my man. It's looking very good. But thank you very much for everyone that's checked out the stream anyway. NXSteve, thank you for joining as always. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you for always having me, Steve. It's always a pleasure to be on your channel.
Thank you so much indeed there. Make sure to check out some other videos on the channel as well, including what is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time if you're into WWE stuff as well. NXSteve is involved on that video as well, so make sure to check it out if you haven't already. Leave some comments as well with predictions if you haven't dropped predictions already. And yeah, interesting to know your take on it. Thanks for watching, and especially when on delay as well. If you're watching, let me know in the comments below as well. Thank you everyone that's put comments though, that's been here live, checking it out, supporting the channel. Really, really do appreciate it. It's great to see so many people as well interacting with these videos. It's great to hear your take on everything. But thanks for watching. Take care. Have yourselves a good one. Enjoy Double or Nothing. I'm on a bit of a break at the moment, but I'll be back on the channel very soon. So do keep an eye out for more videos when they do drop. All the best. Take care. See you soon.